Welcome to day 2. You know, if you've ever scrolled through job postings for a data engineer, a data scientist, and a machine learning engineer and thought they all kind of sound the same, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to clear up that confusion.
Right, these titles get thrown around a lot, and they often seem interchangeable. But the truth is, they solve fundamentally different problems. So the real question is, how does a company actually turn a mountain of raw, messy data into a smart, automated product that people could actually use? Well, by the end of this, you're going to have a really simple and powerful way to think about these three critical roles.
Okay, so let's get right into it. I think the best way to understand these roles is to imagine the entire process as a sophisticated factory. You've got raw materials coming in one end and a finished product going out the other. Each of these roles is just a specialist working at a different station along that assembly line.
First up, at the very beginning of the line, is the data engineer. Think of them as the factory's architect and master plumber. Their main job is to solve one huge problem: getting a reliable supply of raw materials, which, in our case, is data. They're the ones building the databases, the pipelines that move the data around, and all the quality checks to make sure everything is clean and consistent. Without them, the factory has nothing to work with. It's that simple.
Okay, so once the data is flowing, we bring in the data scientist. These are your research and development specialists. They take those clean, raw materials from the engineer and bring them into their lab. This is where the experimentation happens. They're running statistical tests, exploring hypotheses, and really trying to discover brand new insights. Their goal? To invent the blueprint for a new product, which is usually a prototype model. They're the ones who prove that, yes, we can create something valuable from this data.
And that brings us to the machine learning engineer. As soon as the data scientist has a working blueprint, a successful prototype, the ML engineer steps in. Think of them as the assembly line manager. Their core problem is all about scale and reliability. They take that successful R&D idea and engineer a robust, efficient, and scalable assembly line to mass produce the product and ship it out to potentially millions of users every single day, without fail. So that's the big picture idea, the intuition. Now let's ground that factory analogy in the specific technical skills and tools that actually define each of these roles.
If we break it down, you can see how different their focus really is. The data engineer, remember, solves for reliable data access. They are absolute masters of data infrastructure. We're talking SQL databases, data warehouses like Snowflake, and building ETL pipelines with tools like Airflow. The data scientist solves for insight. Their toolkit is heavy on statistics, math, and programming in Python or R, using libraries like scikit-learn to build those prototypes. And the machine learning engineer? They solve for production at scale. They're expert software engineers who specialize in production-level code, distributed systems like Spark, and deploying models as scalable, reliable APIs.
All right, so how does this whole factory actually come together on a real project? Let's use a classic example, building a recommendation engine for an e-commerce website. So, step 1, the data engineer builds the pipes. They collect all the raw user clicks and purchase histories, then they clean, transform, and organize all that data into a central warehouse. The factory now has its raw materials. Step 2, the data scientist takes that clean data and starts exploring. They're looking for patterns in user behavior to build a prototype model that can actually predict products a user might like. The R&D is a success. And finally, step 3, the ML engineer takes that proven model, often rebuilds it for speed and performance, builds a scalable API around it, and deploys it into the live app, where it can serve thousands of recommendations a second to real users. As you can see, even though their skills are really distinct, these roles are deeply collaborative. It's not a hierarchy. They're just specialists working together on one single production line. So, the crucial point here is this. The engineer builds the river of clean data. The scientist figures out where to find the most valuable fish in that river. And the ML engineer builds the global distribution network to deliver that fish to everyone. Understanding this distinction is really key, both for building effective teams and for figuring out your own path in the data world. Tomorrow, we're going to shift our focus from the people to the data itself. We'll explore how we take messy, unstructured things like words and images and turn them into the clean numbers a machine can actually understand.